Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kathy Neifeld, one of the partners at Agency One, and I am thrilled to be introducing Rick Buteau today, who is our featured speaker. Rick is the Senior VP of Operations at Libra, and many of you may recognize the name and or had the opportunity to speak with Rick because Rick was kind enough to chair our pre-conference workshop at the recent Agency One annual meeting, which took place this past April in Washington, D.C. And that pre-conference workshop was all about artificial intelligence and how it is changing your practice and tools that you can use. Rick had a lot more to say, and we did not dedicate enough time, frankly, to that pre-conference workshop. So Rick was kind enough to volunteer to give the Rick Buteau Part 2 um, uh, webinar on how to use AI for marketing, communication, and more. Rick and I, in preparation for this, we were just chatting a little bit. And Rick, I'm gonna share something because I think it's interesting. Rick told me that his wife mentioned to him when she looks on his Instagram page, it's all AI initiatives and whatever kind of dog he has. And she thought that was really kind of interesting because I guess hers is a little more holistic than just dogs and AI. But Rick is going to talk about how we can use AI, how easily it is to integrate it into your practice, from writing better emails to creating impactful marketing content. Rick, as I said, is an accomplished executive with more than 20 years of experience in the insurance and financial industry. Since joining Libra, which is the Agency One back office, Rick has aligned the carrier and agency community to develop differentiated service for both new business and in-force business. He also has developed proprietary reporting for the Libra agencies, which have allowed for greater transparency between carriers and agencies on service levels and submission platform throughput. By developing these relationships and reporting tools, Rick is providing a platform for agencies to drive sales based on where service best serves producers and the end customer. My takeaway from that fabulous write-up that they gave me about Rick is you are my go-to when the advisors on the telephone are calling Agency One going, we can't get anything done and there is a log jam at this carrier. What is going on? So at the outset, I thank you for everything that you do and for all of your efforts. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you. For those that are on the that are attending, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat, and we will either address them in real time or we will address them at the end. This is being recorded, and the recording will be posted on the website, and any materials that Rick has, we will be able to share as well. So without further ado, Rick, take it away. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kathy, and thanks everybody for the time today. Really appreciate that. I was really excited to have the opportunity to come back to this group and be able to share some information, some tips, and those kinds of things. I will not bore you with what is AI and give you the whole history lesson. I'm sure most people are being inundated with this stuff already. Kathy, Lisa, and I were discussing as we were preparing for this. It's kind of all consuming right now. AI is everywhere. That's all a lot of folks are talking about. But I think what people really aren't talking about is how to use AI effectively in the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. And that's where I'm hoping I can help add a little bit of insight and give you some ideas on what you may be able to do, because it's really not as scary as a big word, but it's really not as scary as some people think. It can be a really great tool when it comes to creating greater efficiency and or assisting with a task that you have in front of you, like creating emails, marketing information, or even if you're just trying to, capture information from a meeting and whatnot, there's a lot of different ways that we can use AI to benefit us in those day-to-day tasks. So what I was going to do is take a little bit more of a practical approach today and just show you some examples of things that you could do and things that you could use AI for. And I'll share my screen and show you some of the examples that I prepared for today. And then, as Kathy said, if there are questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But the biggest thing I would encourage everyone to do is, if you're not already using an AI platform of some sort, I would strongly encourage you to get out there and try to utilize it. Even if you're just playing around with it. I was joking around about my Instagram feed, which I don't use very often, but it is a lot of AI stuff, like what is AI, how to use AI, all these kinds of things. And I think that's where people just need to embrace the tech. It's not going anywhere. The big key now is what do we do with it? So how do we make it a benefit to us, rather than something that we're just kind of saying, I don't understand it, so therefore I'm not going to deal with it. Because I assure you, it can make the simple things, or even some of the more complex things, depending how deep you want to go into it, it can make it a lot easier. I always like to start out by saying, a couple of quick disclaimers, which would be, and I mentioned this at the pre-meeting down there in DC, which was the one thing I want to make sure everybody understands is that just like the internet, and what they used to tell my daughter years ago when she was in school, in high school, was public and permanent. And that's something you should really keep in mind, and not private. So if you're utilizing something like a Chat GPT, which is a fantastic tool, OpenAI is a wonderful tool. And ChatGPT is definitely the leader in the clubhouse. They've had a big head start on everyone. It's been consuming, their cost associated with the amount of data that they consume is astronomical. But therefore, it is a very intelligent system. And so it can do a lot. Now, the others that you've probably heard of are Microsoft Copilot. And then there's now with Google, it's Google Gemini. And again, great platforms, but there are some subtle differences that I just want to explain real quick. If you're utilizing ChatGPT, the free version, that is public and permanent. So ChatGPT learns by information that people put into it, just like the other AI platforms. But with ChatGPT, anything you put there, ChatGPT will retain forever. It's just going to hold on to it, learn from it, and it's going to keep generating information off of anything that you've put in there. Now, it's done a really good job, for the most part, of blocking out the nonsense. It's learning how to do that more and more of the validation to ensure something is correct, but it is not private. So you would never, ever want to use ChatGPT free version for something that would either be proprietary or something that is private. So you'd never want to put any PII of your clients or yourself, your family, out into ChatGPT free version. ChatGPT does have some pay levels. You can join ChatGPT for I think it's $25 a month. And that only retains things for 30 days. So there's a little bit more privacy there, but it still is going to hold on to information for 30 days. But if you go to the next levels up, it starts to have zero document retention, which means it's going to learn from what you put in there, but it will not retain what you put in there. It's not going to hold on to your information that you put. I would still tell you, never put PII ever into any AI system. Microsoft Copilot, if you are a Microsoft 365 user and you pay for the Microsoft 365 platform, that now comes with Copilot. Now, if you've got Copilot and you log into Outlook, you'll see that there is a little icon that looks like a little rainbow kind of a thing. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see what that looks like, just so you're familiar. And so this is Copilot. And so Copilot is this is what you would see in the corner. That's the icon. And it says Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, Microsoft Copilot is another great platform. However, my experience and others that I've talked to, Copilot still has a lot of learning to do, and which is interesting to think of, right? Between them and Google, you would have thought that they'd be well ahead of the curve, but they're not. It's still learning a lot. Copilot, it takes a lot more verification, in my opinion. I've messed around with it quite a bit to do some of the tasks we'll talk about here today, but I do find I have to double check things that Copilot tells me more than a Chat GPT would. But you can see Copilot when you're in the chat feature, it does some different things that that GPT, oops, sorry about that, that GPT doesn't do. It gives you like some of these prompts. So Microsoft's kind of come up with some of these different prompts to say, all right, here's some of the things they hear people ask about. And so they've kind of reworded them to give you a good place to start, like write some funny out of the office email responses to use. I mean, just some, some silly stuff, but then there's some serious stuff like write code, that kind of thing. So Copilot's great. It's just not as good as ChatGPT when it comes to uh, the exactness of it, if you will. There is one upside to Copilot. As long as you're using the Microsoft Copilot associated with your Microsoft account, this is pretty private. The document retention exists in Copilot, but it's only under your account. So Microsoft is not pulling that information into the general population of information. So there is some protection there, or a little bit more privacy, if you will. But again, it's never to be used for PII type of a thing. You'd never want to put like somebody's social security number, email, social security number, and anything that could be combined together to do an identification, or somebody's medical information or financial information. You'd never want to put that into an AI system. So Copilot is good for that. And then there is Google's Gemini, which I'm not going to pull that up because you kind of get the idea here. They're all basically going to do the same thing. But when it comes to these AI platforms, the key to utilizing it to help you with some of the tasks that we're talking about here today is all about prompts. So one of the things, I'll share my screen in a second here. One of the things that I find that you can use a AI system for is if you were trying to do a kind of a marketing campaign. Let's say that you are I want to do an email marketing campaign, and I want it to go out to potential customers and talk about life insurance. And if there's an exact example somebody would like me to do, I'm more than happy to work that for you, to show you what the results would look like. But I'm just going to show you the example that I created for today, which is pretty basic, but I just want to give you an idea of what a ChatGPT or an AI system can do for you. So nothing proprietary in here, obviously, but you can see, so I've got the Libra logo, which is public, right? There's nothing private about that. And then I just created this prompt where I tell it I'm an insurance professional. I'm going to do a marketing campaign brochure. I want to email it to prospective clients about the importance of life insurance and their financial planning. And then I give it some guidelines, some guardrails on what I need it to talk about. But the other thing too that I build into this prompt is I tell it I want a stock image of a professional at a desk speaking to a couple. Looks like they're reviewing documents. And then I needed to include my name, my company name, contact information, logo, and they'll all be PDF format. So the key here is, again, rather than me going out and trying to find a stock image, me contacting, trying to get somebody in marketing to create something like this for me, especially if I'm just looking to do a quick hit where I'm reaching out to prospective clients about having a conversation around life insurance. And again, if you've got process and procedures you need to follow and it's got to go through compliance, you want to do that. But this is a great way to start it and get this to whoever needs to see it within your company, if that's a necessary step you have to take. But it is all about the prompt. Whenever you're using any of these AI platforms, it is all about, I need to tell it exactly what I'm looking for. You can get as detailed or you can be as vague as you want. It's only going to know what you tell it. Because it's not gonna make assumptions on what you're looking for, other than where I was pretty vague with, I just need a stock image of something. So I do this, I put it in, and literally about 5 seconds later, it brings something back like this. So it grabbed the image that I asked for it. It came up with the key piece of financial planning, and it came up with some verbiage around what life insurance is. Again, this is a very basic example, but I just wanted to show you what something looks like. Looks pretty professional. I can download this as a PDF. I verify my information's right. And when it's not, so let's just say this isn't something exactly what I'm looking for. So I say, you know what? I need the formatting to be a little more professional, but everything else looks good. And you talk to it like a person, which is kind of bizarre. But you don't have to say please and thank you, but you do want to just kind of coach it along as to what you're looking for. So it redid it and it came back, and this looks way better. Now we're getting the facts about life insurance tailored to your needs. Still has my information. It's got my logo at the bottom. So you can see it's a quick and easy way for you to create this type of information on the fly. So where, I could see this being practical for something like this. You're just trying to create a quick campaign or something for someone to review for you to be able to use. And whether you're going to email this out in an email marketing campaign, or if you're going to a seminar and you want to have a handout, it's a great way to get something like this done quickly. And again, if you have a compliance guideline that you have to follow, that's what you want to do. But again, you can generate this quickly, get it in front of somebody, get it approved, or whatever the steps you need to take. But it's nice and easy. And again, like I said, you can download it, you can share it, you can do whatever you want with it, but nice and easy. The other thing I'll show you is, so I kind of went back and forth on, well, what if I want to get a little bit more complex? And I want to utilize something that maybe is prefabricated. Maybe I don't feel like I'm capturing what it is I want to talk about. And I had asked Kathy and Lisa, before the call had started, if on the Agency One and BSMG, I believe, has this too, is if you syndicate, which means Libra has access to PGI, which is a marketing kind of warehouse where a lot of information exists. And Lisa assured me that for Agency One, at least, that it is on your website. So you do have access to this. And so the way that this looks is this is PGI. So PGI has all of this information out there that you would have access to when you go to the Agency One and BSMG website. And you can choose the different things that you want to potentially utilize. So in this case, here are the one-page estate plannings. You can utilize one of these. But if let's just say what they're sharing is really not getting at what you want, you can see all these different items here. So, and these are all public. These are all for your use, right? So none of this is for broker use only. This is something that you hand to a customer. So if you were just looking for permanent versus life insurance, and I were to pull this up, you can see there's a pretty, basic. It's got some of this stuff here, and you can, kind of fill in, but this is a lot of information. So a good example of maybe a quick way to help you create information for you to utilize, sorry, easy for me to say, is you can pull information off of this PGI, and we can go back to our AI and we could say, okay, here's the text from PGI. I want you to create something utilizing that. And it gave me back this. And so I utilized a PGI marketing, which is, like I said, for public use. And this is what ChatGPT came up with. I gave it the text. It actually spit out another version of this. I said, I just break it out so I could see, it came up with the problem and the bottom line. And then it took the text that I provided and put it into those two columns, gave me two images, gave me my name, gave me my logo, and I'm off to the races. It's something I can use as a PDF, or again, I can share with someone.
Hey, Rick,
Yes, sir.
We're still seeing the PGI.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Thank you for letting me know that.
Yep.
There we go. So this is what it utilized based on the text and the information I pulled from PGI. So ChatGPT came up with the problem, the bottom line, added these images because I asked it to, and then included my information and the Libra logo. So again, this took me about 3 minutes to create a usable PDF. So the other thing that I would tell you that is a great way for you to utilize AI, and I'm just going to keep stopping and resharing. Oh, I see there's something in the, oh, okay. That you can utilize AI for is when you are having a meeting, either you're having a meeting where there's going to be a sales idea shared, or you're having a meeting where a strategy is being laid out about ways to interact with customers, those types of things. I would strongly encourage for you to use an AI note taker. Or you can record, and I'm going to talk about both of those ways to do things. Now, if you're going to record something, you just obviously need to let the people know that you're recording. Typically in a larger meeting, nobody's going to have a problem with that. But if you were sitting down with a client and you want to make sure that you capture any takeaways, any questions, anything that you know you need to keep track of, rather than having to write everything down and then sort through it later and put it into a usable document, you can either use an AI note taker. And again, you can use Copilot will do note taking. You can use a Teams. There's a million of them out there, and free. You don't have to pay for these platforms if you have subscriptions to either one of those, or there's other free note takers. For the recording, that's what I do a lot, is I use recording to capture discussions in meetings with everyone's knowledge. And then I take that recording and I use an AI platform to do exactly what I said, because I don't want to miss anything in my note taking. That's the beauty of it. I won't miss anything in my note taking. And I don't want to assign something to someone where I'm incorrect. So using a note taker or recording is a great way to do that. And the good news is on your phone is a built-in way to do that. So if you have an iPhone, I'm going to mainly speak to iPhones. I don't use Droid a lot, or at all, I should say. But on your iPhone, there is a notepad. And so it's an app that's included in every single iPhone. And if you use your iPhone and you choose Notepad, you can record and then transcribe information. So if you were to open your Notepad on your iPhone, you'll see there's a little paperclip at the very bottom. And if you choose that paperclip, you can choose record audio. And when it does that, and the microphone on an iPhone is pretty outstanding, when you do that, it'll record the conversation, and then it's just going to turn it into text. It's not going to do anything special. It'll turn it into text. And then you can take that text and say, okay, there's a lot of information here. I just need to make this easier. So I'm going to share an example of that where at our underwriting meeting that we just had, I utilized this so that we would make sure that we captured everything that took place in the meeting, so we wouldn't lose anything. So this is an example of AI making my life a lot easier. I took the recording and I put it into an AI platform, and this is what it gave me. And again, don't forget, it is all about prompts. So it was, I need you to give me any key takeaways. I need you to break it out by the subject, and then tell me if there's any specific owners, like a carrier owner. And you could see, instead of me having to capture all this, type all this information out, this was done in about 7 minutes was the turnaround time for me to be able to get all this. So if you think about the efficiency of utilizing a tool like an AI platform, and you being able to use this in your day-to-day, like I said, with your meetings, or if you know there's tasks that you're trying to make sure you keep track of for yourself, a client, it is a great way for you to take your recording or an AI note taker and then just have it do this summarization for you. Because one of the things I find is when I'm working with other people utilizing this note taker, they benefit from it as well, because now I can just shoot it off to them and say, hey, take a look at this. Do you feel like I captured everything, anything that we discussed that you think I missed? Otherwise, this is our go-to list, and this is what we're going to take some action on. So that is a huge time saver for me, just because the number of meetings that I go to and the amount of notes that I would have to be taking. I don't have to do that anymore. And it's a lot more coordinated than me trying to figure out that based on my notes. Having a system that's smart enough to do that for me is fantastic. The other thing I would tell you is, I see there is a question, if it's okay if I just address these as they come in. We get the questions, there's software out there that the analysis of state documents and create a summary that will have PII in those documents. Yeah, so that, again, that's the problem. So you'd have to do some tooling there, John, where either you're going to have to redact the information before you utilize AI to do any type of summary. Okay, Kathy's going to answer it. Never mind. I'll leave that out. I'll come back to it.
Sorry. I thought you were answering it, which was why I was.
Oh, no, I'll answer it then, Kathy. It was just the prompt said that you were going to do. Yeah. So again, without putting any PII out there ever, you'd have to do some redacting. So because the nice part is, and this is where ChatGPT definitely has a leg up on something like Copilot, the ability to read a PDF. It is very good at reading a PDF and being able to pull information off of that PDF, just like what I showed you with the marketing that I use from PGI. I just took that PDF, gave it to it, wrote a prompt, and it brought that back for me. But you don't ever, like I said, don't ever put a PDF out there that has that sensitive information. So you'd either have to redact it or, give it a summary of what you're trying to get from whatever the ledger or the planning solution was. It can get a little tricky with stuff like that. I mean, unless you are paying for the top dollar version of ChatGPT, which is completely private, you'd never want to put it out there. And even then, I still wouldn't suggest doing it, just because it's not worth the risk. So you'd have to redact that kind of information. So unfortunately, not a great answer there. But I would tell you that, as I showed you with PGI, if you've got PDFs or something that, the other example would be if you get a long PDF, let's say somebody sends you a few pages of a PDF, like that PGI document I showed you, because something we can do pretty simply is you can actually take things like this. So if this was sent to you and you're like, man, that's a lot of information, you could actually download this, because there's nothing private, right? This for public use. You could download this, put it into ChatGPT and or a Copilot. And I say ChatGPT because it's better at reading PDFs. And you could just say, give the prompt, because again, it's all about the prompt. And you could just say, just like as if you were taking notes, please summarize this, bullet out important information, and that's it. And it would just read the entire PDF for you and give you back what you need. And then you can even just keep prompting it. That's the beauty of it, is it's not just one and done. It knows what you're trying to tell it to do. So you can just keep massaging it. So you've put the PDF into your AI system, and you could say, okay, I want this bulleted out. Give me the summary. I don't have time to read all this stuff. And it would do that for you. And then you could say, oh, but I notice I need to, does it show this inside the document? And it just will keep giving you back what you're looking for. So again, it can be a major time saver when you're getting a lot of information sent to you. I would say, obviously, you don't want to lose the importance of, if you've got a long email that was sent to you by a client, probably not the situation where you want to use AI to summarize that for you. You don't want to miss something, even though they're great at the summarization and spitting it out and bulleting it out for you. there may be a key piece in there that means something to you that does not mean something to AI, and it may not capture that. So it just will take you a little while. The more you play with it, the better it will be. And then the other really cool thing about these AI platforms is the more you start to use it, ChatGPT especially, it learns how you speak. So it learns the way you write a prompt. It gets to know your verbiage. It gets to know what you do. That's where the artificial intelligence comes in. And that's kind of usually the scary part about people. But it starts to learn how you want it to react to you. And so it'll start to use your word. Because I'll give you a good example. I got an email from somebody I know pretty well a couple weeks ago. And my response back to that person was, nice ChatGPT email. And they gave me a call and they were like, how did you know that was ChatGPT? And I said, because it sounded nothing like you. And so it takes a little while for it to learn how to mimic you, to speak like you would want it to speak, right? It'll never speak on your behalf, obviously, but it'll learn your verbiage and the way that you like to do a layout of a document. And again, that can be a huge time saver, because the other thing that you can use an AI platform for is creating a detailed email that if you need to send to somebody. So if you're not really sure the words that you want to use, you're not really sure about how you should compose an email, be it a response to someone, or you're just generating a fresh email where you've been asked, either there's a task you've been asked to do and you're trying to inquire about the specifics of it. That's where these AI platforms really come in handy, because you got to think it pretty much knows every single word that's out there, every synonym to a word. It's going to give you a really good, comprehensive email that based on what you're looking for. So it's just like I showed you with the prompt on the marketing information, is writing a prompt to say, let's do an example. Let's do a real life example here. I'll just show you what one could potentially look like. So if we go, let me pull up. I want to show you what one really looks like. Just to give you it's going to be a very basic example, but here we go. So you would just be able to write a prompt that says, I am a financial professional and I need to, you don't have to capitalize, that's habit. You don't have to capitalize, it knows what you're saying. Even misspelling, it's smart enough to figure out in most cases what you're saying. I need to send an email letting my staff know that we have a informative AI seminar coming up. Okay, so I just told ChatGPT I'm a financial professional. I need to send an email letting my staff know we have an informative seminar coming up, and I want them to attend to learn about gaining efficiencies in writing emails. Okay, so I just send that off, and you'll see now I'm on hotel Wi-Fi, by the way, so it's a little bit slower to respond than normal, just because it's not great here, but there it is. So it comes back, and here's what it did based off of just my simple prompt. And you can see, it does a pretty great job of it. Excited to share. It's going to tell you what we're going to talk about, or what it's going to be about based on me telling it. It's an AI seminar for an email, learn better emails. And then it even gives you like this nice little icons and everything, and it'll let you put in the date and strongly encourage everyone to attend. And it even put my name in here, Rick Buteau. So, and again, it's really started to learn more about how I would write something. It's not using like really big words that don't have any place in this type of an email out to people based on the subject that we're talking about. So the time saver there, right? I don't have to think about, well, what do I want to include in here? How do I want it to look? I just write a really good basic prompt about something like this, and I'm off to the races in, a minute and a half to be able to get this done. So if you're sending emails to prospective clients, or the other thing that, I was kind of playing around with was if you wanted to do an email out to current clients about the importance of doing an annual policy review, that's a great one too, because you may say, well, I want to, I got to write this email, I got to come up with all this information and make sure I format it correctly and make it look nice. Well, that's again where a tool like an AI platform could really help make that a more impactful for you, but do it a lot quicker without you having to think about all that. You come up with the basic prompt. I mean, I think the best way I think I try to put this is you're always the consciousness of the AI. So you have to prompt it. That's why the prompts are so important, to know what it is you really want, because AI doesn't know. I have to tell it what I want, and it's going to give me an answer that it thinks that I'm looking for. And then you can kind of have a conversation with it back and forth. But if you are looking to do annual reviews with a portion of your clientele, telling the AI platform, hey, I'm a financial or I'm an insurance professional. I want to reach out to my clients about the importance of doing an annual policy review. Their events in their life may have changed. The products that are available may have changed. And it's always important for us to do just a policy review to make sure everything is still doing what we expected it to do when we first put the policy in place. And that sounds okay, but utilizing an AI platform will really clean that up for you, especially if you can even give it a basic prompt of, I want this to sound really professional. Like you can tell you can say, I want it to sound really humorous. It'll do that too. But in our, and what we do, we would say we want it to be really professional, and it'll give you a really good, clean email that you can just start utilizing. And then the other thing that you can do with that is in Microsoft Outlook, again, depending on how familiar you are with how to utilize tools, you can actually use a Microsoft Outlook tools to say, okay, I'm sending this email, and you can tell Copilot to do this because, again, Copilot's right inside of your Outlook. You could tell Copilot, I got to send this email, and when I get responses from this email, based on the subject, I want you to put it into a specific folder in my Outlook, and Copilot will tell you exactly how to do that. And that way, a nice part about that is, right, because we all get so many emails, you don't want to miss those. So Copilot, because it's attached to your Outlook, would tell you exactly how to do that. And now you'd have a folder that says, email campaign on annual policy reviews. And it would know every time you get a response that it's going to put it into that folder for you. And it doesn't get lost in the shuffle with everything else. So it's almost like having, a assistant is really the way to look at it. You could even say it's assistant intelligence for the things that we want to use it for. But it is like having an assistant that can just help navigate some of those tasks for you. And that's where I would say the power is for a lot of us of, I don't have an assistant, so I want to make sure I'm working in the most efficient manner possible. So those are the kinds of tasks that I'm going to have AI assist me with: note taking, consolidation of notes, task assignments, and then, like Outlook, and even basic, even though the marketing is more probably on your side, I can utilize it for, I'm going to host a big meeting and I really need to create a really cool brochure for it. I want it to look really nice, and here's what I want it to do. Rather than me having to go get probably a couple of folks on my team here at Libra, get them together and say, all right, what do we want to look at imaging and do this and that? I could just generate something really quickly, then show that to the team to get responses. That's a much more efficient way of getting things done. And I know I've done that before for a different meeting. It was a much smaller meeting, but I wanted to test it out. And it did a fantastic job. And it saved me so much time And it saved so much time of the members of the folks that were working on that with me. So I would say email, the potential for marketing, the potential for better emails. So the sorting of email, better emails, and that note taking, I think you would really benefit from it, saving yourself time and efficiency around coordination, summarization. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. But the really big key here is just start using it. Just try to use it. Like, I know some people are using it just for kind of like fun, which is, that's fine. That's what we do. That's what we did with Google, right? We Googled everything we possibly could when Google first started coming around. But if you really want, you can really take advantage of these AI platforms by being strategic in what you want it to do. And I think you will find you will gain a lot of efficiency once you know how to properly use the tool. So the key is just get out there and start learning how to write prompts, write better prompts. They even have classes online. I don't think you need that. We're all professionals. We all know how to do our job. So you know the words better than anybody's ever going to teach you. But I would just strongly encourage you, get out there and give it a try and see how it does. And if there's other examples I can share, I'd love to do that. But I want to make sure if there's any questions or comments that I give you the opportunity for that.
Rick, thank you so much. As Rick said, if anybody has any questions, please type them in the Q&A. One of the things that I was thinking about, Rick, when you were giving your presentation was I never thought that we would come to a point when we're in the hiring mode where one of the questions that we would be asking potential candidates is how proficient they are at AI. And asking perhaps them for examples in real time during an interview of how would they handle, creating or looking for something or, doing something within the AI realm.
Yeah, it's, as we kind of said right before the call, right? There's a lot of folks worried that AI is going to start replacing jobs and everything, and it will. Like the simple tasks, AI will be able to help accomplish that, but it's actually will benefit a lot of people. But those are the people that master the platform, right? They learn how to utilize it to their advantage. That's where the power of this technology is. And I think that is a great point that it does become part of a hiring process because we all understand there's efficiencies to be gained with someone that knows how to utilize that technology.
Rick, we have a question from Doug who said, can we see the list of AI tools that you prepared and had on the screen during your presentation, the document that included Digital Owl?
Oh, that was the underwriting. That was the notes from our underwriting meeting. Just captured all that information for us. Those were just notes that I utilized the AI platform to capture. That wasn't specific to this meeting. I was just giving an example of some of the notes that it took.
Okay. I thought we had another question, but we don't. All right. We've got 15 minutes left in the hour. I do not see any additional questions. Rick, thank you so much for your time, your insight, your knowledge, and your willingness to share. This is something that I don't think that people can ignore if they want to remain competitive in the industry and also be efficient with their time and in their marketing, their emails, just in all levels of communication. So better we all stay ahead of the curve than behind the curve. And Agency One looks forward to bringing additional tools and resources to our advisors as we become aware of them to help everybody be more efficient and effective in their practice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kathy and Gonzalo and Lisa, for the opportunity. And if there's anything else I can do to help support this or questions or assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Rick. Much appreciated. I hope we get many questions about this and less questions about carrier backlogs
Me too.
and processing issues, but we'll take the questions as we get them.
That's
and
right.
we'll-
I'll handle those too, Kathy.
Exactly. And I know you will. And it makes me sleep better at night knowing that you are sitting on the bench right next to me. Thank you.
Great. You bet. Thank
I see
you.
that Gonzalo just popped in. I don't know if he has anything that he wants to add before I turn this over to Lisa for some additional announcements. Oh, he's shaking his
No,
head
Kathy,
now.
I'm good. No, thank you.
Okay, great. Hey, Lisa, you have an upcoming webinar to promote? Can't hear you, Lisa.
How about now?
Perfect.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for attending. And Rick, thanks for all that great information. I really appreciate it. Every time I hear you speak about it, I learn something new, and that's the whole goal, isn't it? All right. So next, what is it? Tuesday, I guess, July 1st at 3 o'clock. We've got another webinar coming your way, hosted by John Hancock. It's called You're the Boss, Business Owner Solution System. So we hope you can join us to learn about a system built by John Hancock for insurance and financial advisors who are looking to establish themselves and build their business in the business owner marketplace. So that'll be a great webinar to attend. You'll see, if you haven't registered, you'll see another invite coming your way. This afternoon, well, tomorrow probably. So please sign up and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks a lot, Kathy and Gonzalo and Rick.
Thank you.
Okay, Rick, once again, thank you for your time and your knowledge. And for on behalf of Agency One, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if we can help you in any way with your cases, your case design, clients, client meetings, AI, marketing, please give us a call. Gonzalo, myself, Dennis, Lisa, the entire Agency One team is here to help you. So with that, I will give everybody back 12 minutes of their hour. And I hope everyone has a great week and weekend and that it's getting cool wherever you live. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks a
Thanks,
lot.
Rick.
Bye-bye
Take
now.
care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.